So you've planted radishes, but you don't know if they're ready to harvest because those things are underground. We're going to talk about how to know when to harvest a radish right now in this video. All right, if you're anything like me, anytime that you've planted radishes, you're kind of, like crossing your fingers and just dying to look under there to see what is going on. Like, is anything growing or what? The first few seasons that I planted radishes, I had lots of green leaves above ground, but when I went to pull them out, there wasn't hardly anything below ground. It was super duper disappointing. So if you haven't watched our previous video, I did a video just right here in this space about a week ago all about thinning radishes. Thinning is super important to making sure that you actually get to pull something out of your garden 45 days or so after you plant the seeds. Well, we're just about at that point here in my garden. In fact, these seeds were planted right around the end of March, and right now we're at the very beginning of May. So it's almost exactly 45 days. So first you want to know the timing. You're not going to expect to see a radish 20 days after planting, or maybe even 30 days after planting. Depending on the variety that you plant, when you get it, you want to check and see. Usually it'll tell you on the packaging how long it's going to take before you're going to be able to harvest. So this one actually says 30 days, believe it or not. This is an Easter egg blend. Today we're going to be harvesting French breakfast radish, which maybe even is 30 days. It literally says maturity 30 days. So that's the first clue. Duh, I know it probably goes without saying, but sometimes we plant these things and we forget to read the packages. Like when we try to put together furniture and don't read the directions. Anyone? So 30 days, pay attention to what the packet tells you. Usually they're going to steer you pretty close. And I've generally found that these days are right within plus or minus 10 days in general if the weather is optimal, which it has been for the most part for these cute little radishes. So that's the first thing. Follow the package's instructions and be looking for radishes within a 10-day time period in front of and after what the package says. The next thing I do is just check out the green growth above the soil. For most plants, root growth and shoot growth imitate one another. So it's a fun thing to know just about plants in general is that as plants are growing above ground, they're also growing below ground at somewhat the same pace. So if you don't see a lot of green growth above the soil line, then the chances of having a nice thick radish below the soil line aren't too high. So just be measuring and looking to see what kind of growth is happening. So you can see some of these greens honestly are almost getting too big. And as I start to harvest here in a second, you'll get to see them a little bit more up close to, kind of compare their sizes. But when a green is this tall, this is looking like it's almost probably 6 inches or 8 inches tall. That's a good indication for this type of radish that it's really ready to harvest. Because if it's had this much growth above ground, then it's probably been growing a ton below as well. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is the easiest, and that is to start to peek and do the shoulder test. Do you know what the shoulder test is? So it's kind of pretending that radishes have shoulders and that they're like under the earth, right? So you want to imagine the radish under the soil, and you're gonna just, swoop around the bottom of each plant and check to see if you can feel the shoulders. So some of these radishes actually do the favor and they just start to pop up. It's pretty fun. But as they start to grow, and you can see with this one here, it's literally just pulled itself up for us. Like we didn't have to do any of the work. You can see the cotyledon here. This was the original leaf that helped it start to grow, and it has just popped itself up. It's like, yep, I'm ready for harvest for sure, good to go. So with that one, we don't have to do much guessing, do we? We can just tell it is the perfect size and actually probably right on the verge of almost being too large. That's one of the reasons why timing and watching the radish is super important, because if you harvest them too late, they get to be very, like starchy. I was waiting to take photos, to be honest, I was waiting to take photos of radishes a season or two ago, and they ended up being awful tasting when I harvested because I waited too long and they were super starchy. So I'd say this one's right on the cusp of that. All right, so let's check another one nearby. This one here too is also starting to pop up. You see it's got a little lettuce plant next to it. You can see I like to plant a lot of things in one spot. So this one's starting to shoulder as well, but obviously isn't quite as big. This is more the ideal size for the French breakfast radish. So let me show you nearby here another radish. This is one right here actually. This is probably one that I thinned and moved in that previous video. If I take my finger, I know there's lots of light here. If I take my finger and go around the edge, there's nothing there. You can see it starting to form lower down. So that one is definitely not ready. So I'm gonna push the soil back around it. But I can go to this one right next to it, clearing this over here. And again, these are starting to pop themselves up. Now this one is not nearly as, we're getting smaller and smaller as we go. But when they've popped themselves up on their own out of the soil like this, we're just gonna go ahead and harvest them because the chances of them continuing to get larger when they've come out of the ground aren't as high. So again here, I'm trying to show you one. I was hoping for one where it hadn't popped up yet. And then when we check the shoulders, we know. Let's see if this one might work. All right, so see this one, it's pretty buried. The leaves are a good height. The leaves are about 4 inches tall, which is a great, good medium size. Here we go, this is what I've been looking for. So then when I take my finger and go around, can you see that, the shoulders? So when I see those shoulders and I can feel that's at least a good inch wide, that's an indication that this one is ready to go. And then I just slightly tug, and there we go. This one doesn't have quite as much white on the bottom, but it was definitely ready, and I checked it by shouldering. All right, so as you can see, we have radishes of all different sizes and shapes. It's just like people, right? Plants really aren't meant to be uniform. This is one of the things I've learned so much from gardening is that, you know, all that uniformity we see at the grocery store, it's really just done for the consumer, and they throw away a lot of good food because it looks like this. Right? So this is one of the beautiful things about growing your own is you get to experience what the fact that there's no such thing as normal, you know what I mean? Which is a very good thing to know and believe. So I'm gonna pull up a few more of these. You can see, again, I'm gonna have them in varying sizes. This one actually looks pretty awesome, nice and thick. And when I start to see some like that, I'm gonna wanna pull as many. You can see I have a little critter that's trying to eat them, it looks like. So I'm gonna try to pull as many as I can or want to eat at once so that I don't end up getting radishes that end up too starchy, too bitter, and I end up wasting it. I've definitely done that before. That's a perfect one. I would say that's pretty much a perfect French breakfast radish size. What do you guys think? Now, as I finish this up, you can see I've cleared space in my garden. So that brings you to the question of what to do next, right? Should I plant some more radishes or should I plant something else? The last thing I want to do is leave this soil bare. So what I would recommend for myself, if I want to keep enjoying radishes for more of the season, and I know in the next, say 30 days, because these are 30 days, that I'm still gonna be in the right kind of climate and temperature, then it's a perfect situation to just come back into these holes and plant some more radish seeds. But if I know that the weather is gonna be drastically changing in the next 30 to 45 days, then instead of planting radishes, I would wanna plant something different here. So my recommendation usually is to plant something that's not in the same family. So a good thing that I could plant here would be some bush beans that could just hang over the side, or I could replace with some basil as soon as I'm free of frost. Or I could do some lettuces, like some arugula or something, but you'll see in another video that I don't need any more arugula right now. So I'm just gonna show you real fast to finish up what I could do if I wanted to just replace with more radishes. So I've got my nice little harvest here. These were clearly, almost all of them I would say, were definitely ready to be harvested. Don't they look so pretty? I love French breakfast radishes. So I'm just gonna show you so quickly how you can replace them. So if I did have some compost out here, that would be ideal. I'd love to just put like a little handful of compost right where I pulled the radish seed. You don't need a lot because I'm not replanting the whole thing, right? Just a couple of spots. So this is an Easter egg radish that I'd be replacing it with, not the exact same kind. It's gonna be a little bit wider. Let's see if I can actually get the seed package open. All right, so we're just going to finally, and this, my friends, is how you open a seed package. Clearly I need somebody else to make a video of that for me. So the seeds look very similar to the ones from the French breakfast, just like that. And then I'm just literally gonna go into a spot where I had a radish. Again, the ideal here would be to have put some compost, and I'm just gonna place it right there. It almost looks just like a pebble. And just push it down, and voila! I've planted radishes that will replace the ones I just pulled. So here's one you can tell I just, you know, there's literally a hole here. So I would just come back, replace the hole with some soil, and put a radish there. So it's not all perfect and uniform, but this, to me, this is the beauty of a kitchen garden versus like a farm or a row garden, is you can literally just kind of pick from a small space, replant, and come back 30 to 45 days later and harvest again. Pretty magical, right? All right, so that, my friends, is how you know when to harvest your radishes, whatever kind of radish you have. First, check the seed package and guess between 10 days before to 10 days after. That's when you want to start looking to harvest. Second, check the leaves above the soil. Roots and shoots generally grow at the same pace, so whatever's above the soil is a good indication of what is below the soil. And then finally, check for shoulders. If you feel the shoulders start to pop around the base of your plant, then guess what? Chances are there's a whole root below it. All right, my friends, happy radish growing time. I hope this inspires you to grow your own radishes. They are a million, trillion, billion times better than the ones from the grocery store, I promise. And the amazing thing is you can eat all these greens as well as the roots. So it's like double your money for what you get. So stay tuned for more kitchen garden goodness, and please subscribe to the Gardenary channel. We got so many good videos coming your way this season. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.